Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate ringsidenews.com. This will be the final edition of NoDQ&A video until the WWE Fastlane pay-per-view, which will be this Sunday live on the WWE Network for either $9.99 or free if you are a new subscriber. NoDQ.com has got you covered. We'll have the latest news, rumors, and of course, play-by-play coverage. I will be live tweeting at twitter.com/NoDQ.com, and that feed will be on the NoDQ site as well. If you enjoyed today's video, if you enjoy NoDQ&A video, please feel free to support the videos and the website by buying an official t-shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com. The link is in the description box. With that being said, let's get down to your questions now from spring.me/AaronRift. This first one today comes from Mario Warfare 24. Hey, what do you think is the story behind Samoa Joe's departing from TNA? I feel like every TNA superstar who has been in the company for a long time is parting ways with TNA. And how will this affect TNA when it goes into the future? Thanks. Well, Samoa Joe is definitely a major loss for TNA. Samoa Joe, one of the guys that has been with TNA since almost the beginning. He came in 2005 before TNA got onto Spike TV. He is credited as being one of the guys that helped build TNA and get TNA's reputation as a must-see show, a significant alternative to WWE. But the fact is, the first few years, TNA did a really good job with Samoa Joe. Especially the first year. They had him come in. He was portrayed as a badass. Samoa Joe was on his way to being a major superstar. But then TNA started screwing things up with him. The weak storylines hurt his character. And the last several years, Samoa Joe hasn't really done much in TNA. So with him being gone now, him leaving TNA doesn't really change the product at all. That's how insignificant Samoa Joe has been in recent years, which is a shame. Samoa Joe could have been the guy that TNA could have built the company around, like AJ Styles or Christopher Daniels, Bobby Roode, any of those guys that really busted their asses in TNA. And if TNA had just had the ability to market these guys properly, they could have been major superstars. But things just didn't work out. And, it was a financial situation. And Scott Steiner called Samoa Joe fat. That, among other things, led to Samoa Joe's downfall in TNA and the damage that was done to his character because of the storylines. But with the financial situation, TNA, they have to make budget cuts. And they just cannot afford to pay Samoa Joe what he feels he deserves. And I guess the feeling is that Samoa Joe can make more money on the independent scene. AJ Styles is doing really well for himself, working in the indies and working in Japan. Samoa Joe can do the same thing and continue to make a living. And then there's the whole WWE side to the story. This question comes from CPW1978. Please share your thoughts on the reports of Samoa Joe quitting TNA. Where does he go? Too late for WWE? There's been some speculation that Triple H is interested in signing Samoa Joe and bringing him in and at least giving him a shot in NXT. Triple H, I guess a few months ago, had briefly followed Samoa Joe on Twitter, and that got a lot of people buzzing. My guess is it didn't really mean anything, but, Triple H definitely knows who Samoa Joe is. Is it too late? That is definitely an interesting topic because Samoa Joe is still relatively young. He's 35 going on 36, but in the world of wrestling, that is somewhat old. And the question is, will WWE really go all the way with him? Will they really invest in a guy who's already in his mid-30s? WWE is very youth-oriented, and when it comes to NXT, they're always looking for young guys, in their early 20s to try and build up as superstars. And the problem with Samoa Joe, besides his age, is the TNA factor, the negative stigma that Samoa Joe has being associated with TNA for several years. I think WWE would prefer to develop a new star who hasn't been in another promotion, their own fully homegrown talent. So that is one of the major things working against Samoa Joe, that and the age. But he is Samoa Joe. He's a tremendous athlete, and if he's really motivated and, WWE and Samoa Joe can come to terms, he could definitely be a force to be reckoned with in WWE. It might not be too late, but I think a lot of that will depend on Samoa Joe and where his head is at, and if he really wants to, start from the bottom. I mean, a lot of people out there saying, that's an insult for Samoa Joe to have to go to NXT and basically, start from the bottom again after all the years he's put in. But, that's how it works in WWE. So whether Joe is willing to do that or not, if he's really motivated and really passionate, I think there's a decent chance WWE would give him the opportunity. But then another issue, too, now that I think about it, is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, similar body type to Samoa Joe, similar in-ring style. Is WWE really going to want another guy like that when they already have Kevin Owens? So there are a lot of things working against it. I think the odds are against Samoa Joe going into WWE because he can work the indies, he can work New Japan, he can work other promotions around the world and still make a good living. So does he really want to go that route in WWE? Is it too late? I mean, who knows? Very well could be, but depends on Samoa Joe and what he wants to do. I think that if he really wants it in WWE, I hope WWE will give him the chance. All right, this one comes from Chris Mace 39628. Do you think the Dean Ambrose contract signing, so to say, with Wade Barrett was one of the most entertaining ones ever seen? Or if not, what was your favorite contract signing? I was not a fan of that segment. I mean, to me, it made no sense. Wade Barrett having to sign a contract, I mean, that's not legal, obviously, but I guess in the world of wrestling, it counts. I mean, you would think Wade Barrett would say, hey, I never agreed to that. That's not legally binding. It's just a dumb storyline. Not really a fan of it at all, but then again, it's just your mid-card feud, so whatever. It was dumb, but it's not like I'm going to dwell on it or anything like that. Favorite contract signing, I don't even know. There's been like a billion contract signings, most of them ending with somebody going through a table. I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I'm just tired of the segments. It seems WWE, it's mandatory in WWE. Every month you got to have a contract signing segment on one of the Raws before the pay-per-view. I'm just tired of it. And I got this question here. With Daniel Bryan acting heelish on Raw, could we be getting ready to see a heel turn for him, or at least him playing a tweener role? I think that would be a huge mistake. If WWE attempted to turn him heel, I mean, Daniel Bryan could definitely pull it off. I mean, he was a great heel back in 2011, 2012, whenever it was that he first started doing the Yes chant. He was the world champion. I mean, he was tremendous in that brief run as a heel, but, the crowd just wants to cheer for him. He's like Ric Flair. I mean, he's so good, even if he's a heel and he can do a good job at it, the fans still want to cheer for the guy. To me, it's bad business to make him a heel. I mean, I think he needs to stay babyface, and there's not really much you can do to get the fans to boo him. I mean, he's a guy that goes out there, and everybody knows how hard he works and how talented he is in the ring. It's very difficult to boo the guy. Got this question here from Romney Full Dark. Aaron, we all know Sheamus is the second superstar that less took him to win the WWE title, that took less time for him to win the title. But when did WWE see on Sheamus that made them give him that big of a push? You don't have to answer in video, just answer. Well, answering in video for you here. Why WWE went with Sheamus? I think it was for two reasons. Number one, he's got a good look to him, very unique look. He stands out from the rest of the pack. That's one thing that gave him an advantage. And the fact that he does have the body, he's a good size, I think WWE just saw a guy who's unique, who has a good body, and they gave him the opportunity. Good talker. So he had a lot of good qualities. And, there's some speculation out there that he was workout buddies with Triple H, and, he became close with Hunter. And because of that gave him an opportunity that he might not have had otherwise. I mean, who knows? That's all hearsay. That's all gossip. But, Sheamus was just a very solid performer all around, and, WWE was looking to make new stars, and he was just in the right place at the right time. All right, got this question here from Raw is War 98. Hey, Aaron, was there ever a storyline in WWE or WCW that you thought had some potential, but was dropped for unknown reasons without an official ending? There's just been so many of them. I don't even know off the top of my head too many of them, because there have been tons of storylines that have a really strong beginning and then they have a very weak ending or no ending at all. One that comes to mind in WWE was GTV, but the reason for that was Goldust leaving the company. Goldust was originally going to be the one behind that, but then he ended up leaving, and they just kept doing it for a while, and it had no real conclusion. In WCW, I mean, there were so many storylines like that. One that I remember around the same time as GTV was the Hummer, and I know they did have on the April 10th, 2000 Nitro, they had Bischoff in the Hummer, but it was lame. When the storyline was actually taking place, they never had a conclusion to it, and it was just one of many. There were so many in WCW, during the dying days, storylines that would really go nowhere, and 1 week there'd be a storyline, next week it would be completely dropped. All right, this last one today comes from WWE Fan 5. Hey Aaron, who do you think had the best Hall of Fame speech? I would say Iron Sheik or Bobby Heenan. I liked Iron Sheik's, but he was having to be careful what he said. His shoot interviews are obviously way more explicit and in that way entertaining. I think that I really enjoyed Ric Flair's whole Hall of Fame induction. I mean, that was probably the most emotional, and Ric Flair always speaks from the heart. Some of these guys, when they go out there, they kiss ass, and they say things to just get themselves over. They're trying to hang on to that 15 minutes of fame. I think Ric Flair, he just went out there and he was himself, and it was very very emotional. And of course, Jake the Snake Roberts was one of my favorites from this past year. Very real, and just him speaking from the heart. Those were my favorite Hall of Fame speeches, where the guy is truly honored to be there, and it really means a lot to him. Even if some people don't take the Hall of Fame very seriously, the person being inducted clearly does feel very honored to be part of it. So that'll wrap things up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest regarding Fastlane, and I will see you guys next time.